Today we're going to be taking a look at a game played by a modern day chess wizard that is Daniil Dubov. This game was played in 2017. It's against a 2650 named Brkic, and it's a fascinating game. Dubov is a person who will sacrifice all of his pieces to deliver checkmate, and essentially that's what happened in this game. Where's Dubov from? He's from the country whose flag you cannot put on the FIDE table, even if you are against the war, like Dubov is, like Nepo is, as if FIDE doesn't understand countries' flags have lineage and we are just people and there is more to a flag than a current political event. Pretty crazy. I wonder when people are going to start talking about it. Like, I'm against the war. Can I fly my flag? No. Oh, okay. Can you tell me when I can fly my flag? No. Knight to c. Are you a chess organization? Yes. Okay. Pawn to h6, we get a queen's gambit declined. This move kicks out the bishop. The bishop retreats to h4, and then we get pawn to g5. Not so much a move you want to play against a chess wizard. It is an overextension. It is an aggressive line, as you can see, knight to e4, exploiting the fact that white is now pinned, trying to capture this bishop on g3. We get queen to c2. You have to add a defender onto this pinned knight, not to get forked, and we get pawn to h4. Kind of resembling like a reversed Caro-Kann on the king side right there. You know, those lines where you go h4 and they go h6 to retreat the bishop. Here you got to create a luft for the bishop. Otherwise, you're going to get hit with h4, f6, and your bishop is donezo. So we get h3, but that weakens g3. So Brkic is like, I'm a genius. I'm going to damage your structure on the queen side. I'm going to damage your structure on the king side. Where are you going to castle now? He has two sets of doubled pawns. And now it's up to black. Should he develop or should he take the pawn? You should not exactly take this pawn because then white gets everything they want. They get full control of the center. They're going to win this pawn back unless you really want to hold on to it and play this type of position. Again, it's fascinating that it resembles games that's going on in the World Championship today. Ding could have done something like that. He elected not to. Guess how that game ended. Knight to c6, developmental, and boom, pawn to e4, striking in the center. Black takes, white takes, and has a centralized queen that cannot be targeted. So that would be a good queen. And again, these doubled pawns are not so bad. These, maybe you have some work to do. Queen to d6, aiming at the pawn. How do you defend it? Remember how we said where are you going to castle? Dubov's like, nowhere. King to f2, guarding the pawn like so. Now, I'm not so sure why Brkic did not go h4. He might have not liked the prospect of having a weak base of his pawn structure, right? And this would be more of a spite check. Even though it does cramp up white's king side, you're going to need to deal with this eternal weakness on g5. And after a queen trade or something, white will get out. And again, you're going to have this weakness, isolated weakness. And instead, we get bishop to d7, a developmental move, figuring out where he wants his king. Pawn to c5, again, it would be ill-advised to go for something like this, where white would just snap off the pawn, and white has much, much better prospects. So instead he goes queen to e7, sensible, defending the pawn on g5. We get rook to b1, asking questions, poking and prodding. What are you going to do? Are you going to go b6 and have a pin like this, or are you going to castle? He castles. And as you can see by the bar moving, the way I would try to explain that in words is there are a lot of pieces on the board, and you're defending your biggest weakness with your king. Right? In the end game, the king is the best piece. In the opening and the middle game, typically you don't want it defending everything. Though this was an exception because it's hard for black to coordinate around it. White is already coordinating around it. So we get knight to e5. This is where the sparks start flying. This knight is immovable object in the center of the board. The knight cannot take. It is actually pinned because of that checkmate. So instead, Brkic is like, I'm going to kick out the queen. I'm going to get it off this diagonal, and my problems are solved. Find the only winning move for white here. The only winning move is bishop to a6. Boom. A brilliancy. Why is this a brilliancy? Let's delve into it. Well, if the pawn takes the bishop, we would get knight takes. And if bishop takes, queen takes, black is going to get checkmated or lose a bunch of pawns and enter a losing major piece endgame. If black is like, oh, wait, I could take your queen. White's like, no, you can't. Checkmate in one move. I love this type of checkmate with the rook and the knight. Great mating box. So what do? He took the queen, he took the bait, but he did not take the bishop. And now we enter the funnest tactic in chess. That is the windmill tactic. When you could go just collecting material and then you go back and give a check and then you collect more material. Imagine how much that aggravates your opponent. I mean, that's like absolute, that's just mean. Bishop to c6 check. And now rook to b2 and Brkic just resigns. Was it premature? Not really. Because if you take, you're up a bunch of material, but who's stopping rook to b8 checkmate? The bishop can stop it temporarily, but there is quite literally no way to stop checkmate. Quite literally, right? Boom and bam. So it's just an immovable mating box. So he could have went for something like this, but then he's going to lose the bishop with check. The queen would probably take. You don't even need to take the queen. You can go rook to b8. And again, queen moves, mate in 1. King moves, you just go check. And here you would just enter a winning rook endgame up 2 pawns. But he's like, I had enough. I respect you. I resign. So yeah, Dubov, an amazing modern day player. And thank you guys as always for watching. Have a great day. Boom.